Welcome back to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. Raila's journey to become the African Union Commission chairperson is gaining momentum every day, and it is like fever. Everyone is catching the cold. Politics, whether local or international, are being controlled by dark forces. And if the dark forces decide that they want to install hurdles in front of Raila so that he does not become the chairman, they can do. Apparently, there had been speculations that the permanent representatives in the African Union had given recommendations that would stand before Raila and would block him from becoming the chairperson. One of them was gender. There had been speculations that a draft had been established that want gender rotation. For example, that Musa Faki was a male, and so they wanted a female candidate. This would have knocked Raila on first round. And then there was this fear that North Africa would produce a strong candidate that would oppose Raila Amolo Odinga. But when the permanent representatives sat down to deliberate, they gave a report that will be very pleasant to Raila Amolo Odinga. But before we look at that, ladies and gentlemen, Raila formed a group called Friends of Raila, who will help him campaign, champion his cause in becoming the African Union Commission chairperson. I want us to look at just a few people who have joined. Former Deputy President of South Africa, Her Excellency Mbeleka Mbete, has joined Friends of Raila Africa to garner support for Baba Raila Odinga candidacy for African Union Commission. So that is former South African Vice President. There is former South African Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, Lindiwe Sisulu, has also joined Friends of Raila to garner support for him in his bid. And then last but not least, because I was just giving you a few, former Zimbabwean Minister for National Healing, Reconciliation and Integration, Sekai Holland, has joined Friends of Baba. So you can see this group that was formed is, people are getting in, those who want Raila. For example, if you look at this Minister of National Healing, this is happening after Raila intervened when the late President Robert Mugabe were fighting for leadership with his opponent. And Raila went there and they borrowed heavily from the Kenyan handshake when coalition government, when Raila joined Kibaki. So he's looking at Raila as a peaceful man, a man who can lead Africa. Now, the permanent representatives had this to inform Raila or those who want to vie, update on the election process of the chairperson, deputy chairperson, and commissioners of the African Union Commission. And I want you to look at it carefully, because it is like they are making policies to favor Raila or to remove the stumbling blocks. The Permanent Representatives Committee has agreed on the following recommendations, and which will be incorporated in the draft decision to be presented to the Executive Council. Number 1, inter-regional rotation. The Permanent Representatives Committee agreed on approach 2, option B, which states that Eastern Africa region will be eligible to nominate candidates for the position of chairperson, while the Northern Africa region will be eligible to nominate candidates for the position of deputy chairperson. So this is the number one stumbling block that has been removed. Apparently, if it had been left open, there was that fear that North Africa would produce a candidate and they would vote in unity. But now, this option, approach 2, option B, states that the eastern part of Africa has been given that mandate to produce a candidate. That means that it falls within Raila's foot because Raila is a member of East Africa. Now that it has been left solely to the East African region, then it tells you that the vector is pointing at him directly. And like I said, if the dark forces had converged and decided to block him, they would do. Now, number 2, because we'll come back to that, number 2 states intra-regional rotation. Intra-regional rotation should be based on regional consultations and not on the English alphabetical order. Now, after the Eastern Bloc had been given this opportunity to produce a candidate, there was another fear that they would have decided that they're looking at the numbers alphabetically, so that if there is a country that begins with the letter A or B or C, it would come before Kenya because Kenya is way distant, letter K. And now the Permanent Representative Committee are trying to be very smart so that they don't use this kind of method. And they're saying that this will be based on consultation. When you look at it very clearly, Paul Kagame has endorsed Raila after consultation from Rwanda. Museveni has done the same. And if you look at Tanzania, they have done the same. All the East African presidents have converged together and they concur that Raila Odinga should be given this position. So based on consultation and not alphabetical order is another stumbling block that has been successfully erased by this committee. Of course, it's pending to be, it will be debated by the National Executive Council, but I can assure you that this is going to be ratified. The last one that was the most difficult, and I think this was going to be a thorn in the flesh in the process, rotational gender parity. The Permanent Representative Committee agreed on non-application of gender rotation in the application of the principle of rotational gender parity. The Permanent Representative Commission position aligns with Kenya's interpretation of this principle. Thus, both Eastern and Northern Africa regions are at liberty to nominate candidates of their gender for the post of chairperson and deputy chairpersons respectively in the African Union Commission election 2025. Had it been compulsory that it is gender rotation, that because Musa Faki was a male so they had to produce a female, then you know what would have happened. They have removed this and they're saying that the Eastern Bloc is at liberty to produce either a male or female candidate depending on the outcome of their consultation. Likewise to the Northern Bloc, they are at liberty to produce a deputy candidate of any gender. And so, ladies and gentlemen, this is the reason I want to submit to you that if the dark forces wanted to put stumbling blocks to block him from becoming the AU chair, they would have. But now that they're trying to pull the strings and they're trying to loosen the nuts, it means that it is Raila's seat to lose. But based on how international leaders are joining friends of Raila, it seems that this is going to be a smooth sail because all the hurdles have been removed. And even though it is pending, these are just but recommendations from the permanent representatives. But when the Executive Council meets, I can assure you that they are going to ratify this. I don't know what you think, but I think it is his time. Someone was joking that in a platform where Chebukati is not around, then there are no fears. I don't know what you think, ladies and gentlemen, but I believe that when all this shall be streamlined by the National Executive Council, it will be game over. That's my take.